Oh my god, okay, so before we begin this video, I just need to say that if I look very tired, it's because I've been up till about 5 a.m. pretty much every single night for the past 2 weeks, getting the first draft of book 2 of the Rosewood Chronicles series finished. So if I look tired, it's because I am tired. That's why. But whatever, we've got to suffer for our art, everybody. It's fine. Hey guys, it's Connie, aka Noodlerella. So with Valentine's Day coming up, I wanted to make some cute romantic content, you know, spread the love a little bit. And then I remembered that that is not me at all. Because I, like a lot of other people in the world, associate as aromantic, which I'm going to tell you all about in today's video. Now don't get me wrong, I love romance in pretty much everything. I love reading it, I love watching it in movies, I love the Disney glossy idea of romance. I just don't experience it myself. So there's a lot of miscommunication, a lot of confusion around the idea of aromanticism, and I thought today I would clear that up for everyone. So instead of classic romantic stuff this Valentine's Day, I thought I would spread some awareness about aromanticism, and maybe some of you guys will even relate and you'll just learn something. So I'm going to break this down into 5 questions because I feel like breaking things down into 5s makes them very easy to understand. So question number 1. What is an aromantic? According to Google, an aromantic is someone who experiences little to no romantic attraction to others. Where romantic people feel an emotional need to be in a romantic relationship with another person, aromantics are often satisfied with friendships and other non-romantic relationships. So aromantics exist in the same kind of poetic space, you could say, as asexuality, in that it's the absence or lack of interest in certain aspects of a romantic relationship which most of society currently considers normal. So while somebody who associates as asexual experiences little to no sexual desire, an aromantic person experiences little to no romantic desire. It's important to consider that both of these things exist on a spectrum. So some aromantics are completely disgusted and completely uncomfortable with any form of romance. Some asexuals are completely disgusted and completely opposed to any form of sexual interaction, whereas others are okay with performing these actions or do feel a little bit of them. If you feel neither sexual attraction or romantic attraction, you might fall under the category of aro-ace. Okay, so that's all of the kind of literary definitions. Let's move on to some of the more kind of pressing questions that you guys might have. So question number 2, is aromanticism considered part of the LGBTQ plus spectrum? Now this is a surprisingly controversial question. Some people don't think that the arrows and the aces should be included in the LGBTQ plus spectrum because they don't experience the same level of oppression as an LGBTQ plus associating individual. You also have to consider that you can be asexual and a lesbian, you can be asexual and a bisexual. So I personally associate as an aromantic bisexual myself. There's an argument that things like aromanticism and polyamory should exist in a separate category to LGBTQ+. There's also a new phrase which has been popping up recently, which is GSD, which stands for gender and sexual diversities. Some people feel that this kind of encompasses the whole wide spectrum of sexual identity. Now, I'm comfortable enough to admit that I don't feel like I have enough knowledge on the discussions and the arguments to know where aro and ace should fit in the LGBTQ+ spectrum, so it's really up to you guys to do the research and decide for yourself where you feel that fits. I think the main reason people want aro and ace to be so included in the LGBTQ+ conversations is because they feel it lacks representation, and that actually leads me to my next question. When did you know that you were aromantic? So strangely enough, I was always very comfortable with being bisexual growing up. Bisexuality was something that existed in my life and I was very aware of, so I always kind of knew that's what I was. I can even look back in old diary entries from when I was 12 and I was very aware that that's what my sexuality was, and I wasn't really uncomfortable with it in any way. But there was not a lot of awareness on aromanticism. I've only ever had one boyfriend when I was 17 and I adored him, but I did feel like I was performing romantic behaviors that I didn't feel, and I started to think that everyone was just performing these behaviors and nobody actually felt that way. I think this is a very common experience for aromantics and asexuals, that they feel like they're performing these behaviors that they don't actually relate to and they don't actually experience that sentiment. I tried very hard to feel romantic attraction towards people for years because I love romance movies, I love romance books, I love Disney. I love glossy Disney stuff. It was only really in the last year that I started to come to terms with the fact that I was aromantic, just because there was so much of it in the media that I suddenly thought, oh my gosh, that's how I feel. And it has been liberating. I no longer feel like I'm doing something wrong or that I just haven't found the right person. I'm no longer in pursuit of this feeling that I feel like I'm missing out on. I understand now that I just don't feel those type of sentiments and that I can be perfectly happy without them and I have no need to pursue them. Next question, and this was a very common one that a lot of you guys asked about on Twitter. Does being aromantic mean that you'll never fall in love and you'll never have a boyfriend or girlfriend? Okay, theoretically, yes, but, and this is a big but, and here's where it gets kind of complicated and can be borderline dangerous if the conversation goes into the hands of the wrong people. Some people are what they are forever, and that is valid. And some people change their identity, and that is also valid. The most important thing in the entire LGBTQ+, aro, ace, poly discussion is very simple. You must respect how someone identifies, no matter what they used to associate as or what they will associate as in the future. Respect people's identities as they experience them. Don't try to change them, and don't suggest that they might change. Respect their identities in the present. That's all you have to do. So I might one day in the future have a girlfriend who I experience true romantic feelings for and fall in love with. That does not mean that the way I experience aromanticism right now is any less valid. This is my truth right now, and if it changes, it doesn't mean it was any less true. Okay, final question. Are aromantics heartless witches? Not all of them, but I am. No, I'm kidding. So aromanticism, like asexuality, is a spectrum and everyone experiences it differently. Some people feel no romantic attraction to anyone and romantic interaction at all makes them incredibly uncomfortable. Some people won't mind partaking in romantic activities as long as their partner knows that it's never going to become love and no one's being deceived. My personal experience of aromanticism is probably about an 80% on the spectrum. I don't like kissing, I don't like romantic cuddling, I don't like romantic displays of affection, and I certainly don't pursue romance. But I'm not so uncomfortable with them that these activities are completely out of the question. I just personally don't feel the same enjoyment from them as other people might. Saying that, there is also this hilarious idea that aromantics are like disgusted by romance in the media or any kind of portrayal of romance. This is a complete myth. Most of the aromantics and the asexuals I know are perfectly happy with and actually downright enjoy experiencing those things through media like movies and books, etc. And I love writing romance. It's one of my favorite things to write. I love it. In a lot of ways, I probably live vicariously through art because I don't experience these things myself, so it's nice to experience them through other medias. And I will still fantasize about romance, but I know that that's just in my head and I don't actually want that in real life. So if I was going to break down my sexuality into many different categories, it would be an aromantic, which means that I don't feel romantic attraction, bisexual, which means that I'm attracted to more than one gender, and then poly, which means that I don't feel comfortable with the idea of committing to one single relationship. Poly as well as a spectrum. People experience polyamory in very different ways, and I'm not going to get into that right now because that's a whole other thing. Probably not surprisingly, and something that I've noticed is actually quite common, as an aromantic bisexual, I would say I'm more open to the idea of trying romantic behaviors with a woman than I am with a man. As I said, 80%, and in that instance it's very much just about my personal sexual preferences and how I experience the world. Okay, my little love hearts, hopefully this video has given you some insight into aromanticism and maybe taught you something or maybe made you realise something about yourself. Either way, I hope it has been helpful for you. I completely understand that Valentine's Day can be a very strange time of year for people who don't sort of fit into the societal ideas of heteronormativity and romantic normativity. And for that exact reason, I think it's important that we have these conversations. The most crucial thing is that you know that what you feel is valid and that you respect how other people feel and how they choose to identify. Personally, this Valentine's Day, I'm going to have my friend Hannah around and we're going to plan our next Disney trip, which honestly, doesn't that just sound like the ideal Valentine's Day? The only other better Valentine's Day would be actually being at Disney. Oh my god, I'm suddenly very excited about Valentine's Day. Woo! I hope you have a lovely Valentine's Day, everyone, no matter how you choose to enjoy it, or if you think it's just a big card-mongering scheme to get as much money out of people between Christmas and whatever other holiday is coming up. Whatever. I personally just love the pink and red aesthetic, so I'm always going to be a bit of a Valentine's Day fan. Anyway, we're off on a tangent. I'm going to go now. Watch some more Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. They've rebooted it on Netflix and it's phenomenal. It's a revelation. I'm moved by every single episode. You should definitely binge watch it. I highly recommend it. I will see you all soon.